So, um, this is our fourth or fifth BCI together. So let's start off with I was thinking about what I want to do for our check-in today. We do a different one each time.
Yeah.
So let's choose a type of precipitation.
Okay.
What describes how you're feeling right now? It can be about school, it can be about life, it could be about this project that's coming up.
I think hail. It's coming hard. It's coming strong. Cause a little bit of chaos, but
I love it. I love it. I wasn't thinking that, but I love it. You're right. It's coming hard. It's coming strong. Little chaotic.
yeah, today was a kind of chaotic day too. Just overall in general, but also just thinking about the PBL coming up too. It's kind of
Hmm.
the fact that it's just coming on so quickly. It seems. But yeah, that would be my current precipitation mood.
I like it. I like it a lot. We'll see if we can. I like the hail actually, but we'll see what happens by the end of our call.
Okay.
Um, for me today, I'm feeling like rain. Um, not in a bad way, in a sense of something good. It's like continuously happening.
Yeah.
And so that's how it is. It's like just continuously coming and coming and coming. And it's just good to stand out in the rain sometimes. It's different. It's quite different than sunshine, but I enjoy both either way. So let's dive a little in. I saw a little bit of your homework from last time. So the graphic organizer was one of them, and then
Mhm.
your 1 point rubric was another. Then I sent you like a plethora of resources. Hopefully I did not bombard you with resources, but
No.
I wanted you to be able to have something that you can choose without depending on the internet all the time. Because I know you say you have limited access from time to time,
Yeah.
and without you having to go out and do all the work yourself.
Hmm.
Because I know you're a second year teacher, and I know how stressful that can be. So I wanted to put some of that weight on me so that I could help you.
Yeah.
So let's talk about I'm gonna pull up your graphic organizer first.
Okay.
All right, you can see my screen. Is that correct?
Yes.
Perfect. So, oh, did it stop?
Yeah. Or
You just see yourself. That's all.
yeah.
I think.
Nice.
Perfect. Okay, so I have everything in my documents waiting for me. Here it goes. So, can you tell me a little bit about what am I looking at?
Yes. So it's based on one that you shared with me. I modified it though to fit my own needs.
Hmm.
Um, but it does include kind of like the pegs that I mentioned I want to incorporate into the students' research. So of course, like the first one is the colony. They have to name the colony, but also tell me like what region it is, since we do have the New England colonies, the middle colonies, and the southern colonies. So it's kind of just identifying, the name and the region of it. Then for the land features, so this is where I kind of just gave them some guidelines. So geography, they're pretty much going to research, what does this land look like? Are there mountains? Are there like lots of farmland? Details like that. And then the climate, what is the weather like there most of the time throughout the year? Then for the people, I do have kind of like a guideline here just to kind of get them thinking about what things they can do research on and include in their note taking. So, for example, they can include information about what groups of people live here, like are there Puritans, are there Pilgrims, are there people coming from one part of Europe, specifically coming to this location. What did the people look like? So, what kind of clothes did they wear? Men and the women, and what do they
Hmm.
do for fun? So kind of like it goes into that social aspect of the people, like what they look like physically, but also what are they doing in these colonies to have like fun or just for leisure. And
Okay.
then we go into the jobs and economy. So one of the little questions I have there is what types of jobs did people have and did they trade? So obviously, depending on what colony they're researching, some of them might have had people that had to fish. Other people might have had, blacksmiths. And
Mhm.
then some of the colonies would often, between the colonies, have the people like trade. And we kind of read something about the Plymouth colony where they're, the farmers trading with a miller because they kind of depend on the goods or services that each of them have. But also, they could extend it further and like kind of elaborate, are they trading with other colonies and in that same region? So crops and food, I mean, again, like what are the common foods that people are eating? I know some of the colonies had kind of like wheat, or other
Mhm.
might have been popular with corn. And other colonies didn't have, that fertile soil that the southern colonies did. So maybe they didn't have as much crops or food that they grew themselves, but they were getting maybe through trade. Um, and then important facts. So here's where it's kind of them also being able to have the choice to research like additional information about their colonies that they deem important that might not fit into the other categories that are
Mhm.
on the graphic organizer. So again, I just wanted to guide them. So I put like some kind of like mini guiding questions as what are some other reasons people wanted to move here and what was special about this colony. Because again, not all the colonies are going to have the same thing or look the same. And the fact that I'm adding, what are the reasons people wanted to move here? They're already researching that about the people coming here. We talked about religious freedom before
Mhm.
when we were talking about William Penn and the Quakers. So they can include this information here, like what are the people seeking? And again, this will also play into the infomercial because now they're going to try to convince an audience to come to their colony, and they might be using some of these reasons to convince their own audience.
I like that. So this is actually a fantastic graphic organizer that can be reused next year, as well as other grade levels and schools can use this. So fantastic job on this. I do have a question dealing with the people. So it may be helpful to include something dealing with what types of clothes did they wear.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they're doing the infomercial, whether they do the Lego one that we looked at, or whether
Yeah.
they are actually going to act and dress the part themselves,
Yeah.
or just do like a PowerPoint type of infomercial, whichever one they choose.
Mm-hmm.
If they're going to choose to act and then they want to dress the part, so I think it's um, a good thing to under the people to include what types of clothing
Okay.
did they wear. That would be my only tweak on this graphic organizer. But this is awesome because later I'm going to ask you about your checklist of requirements and what information that they think that they need to include. And this is a good segue to that. So it's just a bunch of copying and pasting, which would be awesome.
Okay.
So kudos to that. This is my little virtual high five coming your way. Whoop, whoop, coming to you. No, you can't see it, but I know you can hear it. And let's look at your friend here, um, the rubric. So you have more categories that I thought you were going to have. I think more that you thought you were going to have too. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about, because I have a double question for you. Tell me about your rubric,
Mm-hmm.
and also tell me why, instead of you choosing what we talked about before, the areas of improvement on one side
Mm-hmm.
and the areas of improvement, and I think the other one was just like comments or like excellent
Yeah.
commentary. Why you chose this way instead of the having it on both sides?
Yeah. So I remember us mentioning both types of rubrics, and then I did like the fact that one kind of it allows them to see, okay, I got a one. That means I didn't really meet this goal that I was supposed to meet. Whereas two, okay, I was able to actually, the facts I gathered are accurate and detailed. I did this, so I got a two. And with the
Mm-hmm.
classes I have, they do kind of respond to these types of cues. Like, they want to see what they, grade they got. And this isn't necessarily a grade, but it does kind of divide the points. Whereas, one shows them that no, they did not do this. And a two, yes, they did do this. So it's kind of like that guide for them. So I decided like the 1 2 point system was a little bit better for,
Mm-hmm.
needs and the needs of my students. And then with the comments, I could still, apply the other method where I can, kind of indicate why they got a 1, why they got a 2 in the comment section without necessarily having to have 2 separate weaknesses or strengths category. And then for each category, what I did was I created the graphic organizer first because to see like what exactly I want them to be researching in order to create their infomercials and the information that I want them to kind of take away from the research that they're doing in general. So category 1, of course, I want them to make sure that they're writing the facts down and that they're being accurate in what they're saying. So that's why I included that first category where it states like the facts I gathered are accurate and detailed. And the I here is pretty much them, like the I voice is them looking at this and thinking, okay, I gathered the accurate facts and detail. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And then for category, I did include detail too because some of them might give me a bunch of facts about clothing, but any other facts about the people, besides the clothing they wear. So detailed kind of gives them that basis where, okay, I'm getting the facts, yes, but I'm also kind of adding different details to them, not just focusing on one thing that I'm talking a lot about. And then category 2, so I have more than 6 different facts written down in each part of my graphic organizer. Again, this is more of kind of a way to give them the motivation to do the research because some of them might, write down 1, 2 things. Okay, I'm done. But at least kind of like a baseline. You need to have more than 6. I'd want to tell them at least 6 because some of them might just do 6. But the fact that okay, I can do 7, that's more, 8, 9, 10, whatever it may be. It doesn't necessarily limit them to just 6 if they want to have more than that.
So before you go to 3, are they turning in their graphic organizer to you?
So they're not, I'm checking them, but I'm not necessarily collecting them because they will be kind of still using it when they're creating their infomercial.
So after this Colonial Project rubric is for your infomercial. So are they going to turn in their graphic organizer to you after they complete the infomercial?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I was just making sure. All right, go ahead.
They're all doing the work, and it's not just one team member doing everything. Well, the others are just, kind of wasting time. So then category 3. Let's see. Let me reread what I wrote down. And again, this is.
It looks like it's off the graphic organizer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because it's kind of like that way they can see, okay, I'm going to look at the graphic organizer, and this is what I'm looking for when I grade them. Or when I assess, the jobs, the work that they did. Category 7, however, goes into the teamwork portion. So again, making sure that they're all working together, that they're doing the work, and that, besides doing the work, yes, that's great, but also, how they're working together. Are they fighting while they're working together, or are they actually, working well as a team during the whole project? And the last one is more about the infomercial. The fact that they're going to take what they gathered in the graphic organizer, and they're not, going to tell me everything that they gathered, but they are going to give me those specific points about geography, the economy, government, and the people.
Great. I like this. The only thing I would tweak on your rubric, because it looks like your rubric is also going to double as your checklist. So the only thing I would tweak on here is make sure all of these have periods at the end.
Okay.
You started on some of them, so I just want to make sure that you are being parallel to that or consistent. And then on category number 6, it says I gathered extra facts because they are 3rd graders, and this is a lot of writing. But I know you said the majority of your students are pretty awesome readers, so make sure that your wording is consistent with the actual organizer. So I think on your graphic organizer, instead of extra, you put important. So instead of, I know you did it okay, I see why you probably put extra because of the space, the amount of space. I was going to say instead of extra, and maybe include important facts, because that's exactly what your graphic organizer says.
Okay.
And you want to make it as simple as possible for them because they are third graders.
Okay.
This is a lot of writing, but I think once you explain it to them
Hmm.
and give them their examples, that they will be fine.
Okay.
Because I'm assuming, your students are able to read this and understand this.
Hmm.
They are?
Yeah, we're gonna go over it together too, though. So I'm
Okay.
gonna. My plan is to give them each a copy. I'm not sure what you think of that, but also go over each category. That way they know what I'm gonna be looking for.
I'm going to do the periods right now, actually. Yeah, honestly, anytime I used to give my students a project and we had rubrics, I went over the rubric with them as well, and they each had a copy of the rubric because they needed to know exactly what Miss Ward was looking at,
Mhm.
and I wanted them to actually be able to check things off and be to self-assess their learning and to be accountable for their learning and responsible for their learning. So I think it's a really good idea for them to have a rubric and then allow that rubric to be yours
Mhm.
when it's time for the infomercial. So they're just handing the rubric on to you.
Okay.
And that will also save paper too and help them to be held accountable. Now, of course, you would have to have some extra copies just in case
Yeah.
Sammy or Susie loses the rubric.
Oh yeah. Pretty
But
sure
the
that's
majority of them probably won't.
yeah. And I do
Okay, so go
folders
ahead.
too. No, I said I have specific social studies folders for them too, because I do try to help them to stay organized, even though sometimes it doesn't work with all of them. But
The beauty of teaching. So, are there any questions, Dylan? I'm gonna come back to you. Um, where are you? You're here. Are there any questions regarding the rubric, 1 point rubric, or your graphic organizer? Any hard questions dealing with them before we move to your to the PBO checklist?
yeah, just for the graphic organizer, I know like it's good to have all of them, like the categories there. I was kind of gonna ask about your opinion though about splitting them up, maybe three on one page, three on like a back page, just in terms of spacing when they're gathering their information.
And they'll be writing this down.
Yeah, I know some of them write pretty small, but other of them write pretty big.
Are your students observant in a sense of if you do 3 on the front and 3 on the back, will they remember to turn to the back?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a question that depends on your students. The majority of my graphic organizers were one pagers,
Hmm.
and if they needed a second page, they would flip on the back, write whatever the title is. So let's say the title is what's close to the end, important facts.
Yeah.
They'll write important facts, and they'll just write on the back. But if you want them to have more space, there's no right or wrong answer here. Honestly, I'm just thinking of the students who may not remember
Hmm.
that there is another 3 uh sections on the back and they
Yeah.
think they're finished and they go I know they don't call you by your first name, but they're like, "Oh, Miss Patty, I'm finished. Can I start my infomercial?" And then they turn on the back, and it's like December 15th, and they have a blank page. So
Yeah.
that is my only hesitation. But I don't think that's a right or wrong answer. It's whatever you feel is best for your students. Because the majority of my students, they wrote pretty small, and the
Hmm.
ones who wrote a little bigger, they just added a different page. They just literally got another sheet of paper from their book bag or their notebook and just continued to write.
Yeah. Because with my fear is that some of them are not as organized enough to do that, where they're getting an extra piece of paper and keeping it together. The fact that it's paper, okay, it's gone forever.
So yeah, so if you feel like that will allow them to have more space
Yeah.
and also keep them organized, then do it.
Okay.
There's literally there's no like no black and white answer on a graphic organizer has to be only this one page.
Yeah.
The majority of them are, but it doesn't have to be that way. It's whatever is best for your students.
Okay.
That's one thing about teaching is always what's best for your students'
Yeah.
needs. Now it will require some more work on your end, but other than that, it should be fine.
Okay.
And make sure you have a space for the name, the student's name, and the date.
Okay.
Because in case it is lost and they lose in the cafeteria or they lose it somewhere else, they know that it belongs to that particular student.
Yeah.
And since your school, I think, is relatively small, they'll know that that student belongs to you.
Hmm.
Any other questions regarding that? It looks like you're about to have one. Go ahead.
No, that was mainly it. I was just looking at my notes.
Oh, okay. So I on your PBL checklist, I
Yeah.
want to go back to the actual driving question.
Okay.
And I have a little surprise for you.
Okay.
A little surprise. Sharing the screen. And we're sharing. All right, so I I just had it. There it goes. So let's look at this PBL checklist. Everything was awesome. Um, there is one question I had. Do your students have to be able to locate the colonies, all 13?
We not for this project.
Okay, I wanted to.
Eventually, yes. Because again, like I mentioned, after this PBL, I'm still going to focus on the other colonies that they didn't necessarily research.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. So let's look at this driving question here. Can you see this?
Mm-hmm.
So we have updated this to those in red. So the black, well, we have two blacks. So black boated is what we decided on. Then I told you, let me do some thinking and I'll come back to you. So I spoke with my director, and then we uh pretty much came up with these three. It's similar, but we took out the product because she said the product isn't necessary.
Okay.
So I want you to choose. Do not worry about that bolded red. I think that was an accident. I was trying to unbold it and it
That was
clearly
actually
stayed.
I voted it.
Oh, that was you. Okay, perfect. I was like, I thought I unbolded. So you already chose it.
Yeah, because I think that kind of fits more. Well, not more with what they're doing, but the fact that they are highlighting kind of the differences between life back then and back now.
Perfect. Okay, so we officially have our driving question. That makes me so happy. Do you need any of these for like
No,
to know your progress or anything? Can I delete it?
yeah, you can delete it.
Woohoo! So we have officially created our driving question. You have literally done an awesome job of doing the planning behind your first PBL. Like, amazing job. I was trying to unbold it and keep it black, but I'll do that later.
Okay.
So well done on that. And everything else looks pretty good. And we talked about everything. Did you have any other questions regarding this before we actually dive into what we're going to work on today?
I do about the community engagement piece.
Where is it? It's not on here. Okay, go ahead. I'm listening.
It's on the bottom, I believe. Um, just in terms of having the parents come in, I do want them to come in. However, I don't think it's going to be possible to have them come in when their presentations are due. I'm thinking to have them come in January. You think it'll still be meaningful in that way, though, or no?
Tell me your thought process. I'm going to come back to you so we can talk about this and you can
Yeah.
actually see me.
Yeah. So what I did last year and what I do want to do this year too is Colonial Day. So that's when the parents get to come in and they get to hear, their kids do presentations on the colonies. They also bring food like that relates to the colonies that their child has researched, and we kind of have like a celebration of their learning. So I was thinking about showing the infomercials on that day when they come in. But I do also have sixth grade on there. So I'm still going to have sixth grade come in when their infomercials are being done created. That way they can come in. They're not all going to come in. Maybe like have 3 or 4 of the sixth graders come in, kind of listen to the presentations, and then have kind of like a jury vote. Like, where would you want to go now that you've seen all of these? That way it still makes it meaningful for them, like in the moment that they did all this work, they put it together. Now it's presentation time instead of having to have them wait until their parents come in January to get the same effect. So it's kind of be like a split presentation.
So your thought process is for the sixth grade, so just the school to be involved in December.
Yeah.
And then, because it is a tight deadline, so I do understand that. And then for the parents to be involved in January. And Colonial Day is more than just the infomercials. Will it be other things as well?
Yeah.
Dealing with the students' projects?
Yes. There are students will be
Okay.
doing presentations with the other the other colonies, but we're also going to be having like games and stuff that kind of they get to experience colonial life in a different way.
Okay, so you mentioned surveys. I'm going to see if I can tie this together. Are you still asking parents the survey questions?
Yeah, because again, just because so they're going to be asking them the survey questions because eventually the parents will be, coming in to see the presentations and kind of say, like I would love to go to this colony. So that it'll still be that connection. It just won't be the immediate connection because they won't be coming in like that week that it's due. They'll be coming in until Colonial Day.
I think it's a great idea to have a Colonial Day.
Mm-hmm.
Congrats. Congratulations on that idea. I think it's pretty awesome, honestly. I Because of that Christmas break in those 2 weeks,
Yeah.
I don't know if your survey will have the same impact.
Yeah.
I do think that the kids will be happy either way to have the students come in in December and then your parents come in right after in January. How far in January is Colonial Day?
Towards the end.
Oh, can't you do both?
Like,
Could you invite the parents and whomever can shows up in December, and the majority of them probably cannot show up, and that's okay.
yeah.
And then invite, of course, all the parents for Colonial Day, and that way the students still get the chance to have their moment of I created this, I'm so proud of this, look at me, mommy, daddy, and then or mommy, or daddy, whomever, and then at the end in January where it's kind of forgotten in a little bit, it
Mm-hmm.
still comes up as like a state of awe. Because
Okay.
they're third graders, the delayed gratification
Mm-hmm.
is what I'm hesitant about.
Yeah.
So if it's possible for you just to still invite them in December, and if they
Mm-hmm.
can come, then that's fine. If they cannot, it's okay. And
Yeah.
that way, and they'll have it both ways.
Okay.
Because parents are going to be happy to see it both times. It's
Okay.
their child.
Yeah.
They want to see it as many times as possible.
Yeah.
So if it's
Another
possible.
thought. Since our last day is technically, I believe it's the 20th, 21st. I don't have anything due for them on that day. Would it still make it meaningful to have it that day?
So that is holiday. I will put up your calendar, but I have a calendar in front of me. So I remember your calendar. On December 20th, you had holiday celebration, right?
Yeah.
And December 19th was when the infomercial was due.
Yeah.
So in your head, is the information when the infomercial is due, is that when the sixth graders are coming in?
Yes.
Okay. And so what is your question? Can the parents come in on the 20th?
Yes, because I mean, most of them will be, not most of them, but some of them will already be coming in because we're going to have a Christmas celebration in the classroom. So, kind of like taking advantage of the fact that they're already here. And before we actually get to the Christmas celebration part, they can kind of, showcase the projects that they had.
So they don't have to come twice back to back.
Yeah.
I understand that completely now. Okay, that's why you originally stated, can they come in January? Okay, I think that will work. Because parents are working, they have a busy schedule. I don't know. There will be some that may can come both days, but a lot of them will not be able to take off, and I understand that. So I think it's a good idea for, as long as your holiday celebration is not just the projects.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'll be an awesome idea.
Okay.
That's
I'm
what, yeah.
gotta double check if it fits into my schedule. If it does, I'll put it in there. I just wanted like your opinion first before I did that.
Yeah, so I think because that way that automatically fits into your schedule because it's a holiday
Yeah.
celebration. So it won't be a lot of forcing and stress for you. We want to
Yeah.
make it as less stressful as possible. This is supposed to be the time for you to say, I did it. Whew, I'm okay. I'm still alive. Let me check and make sure I'm still breathing.
Yeah.
And to give yourself a pat on the back. This is for you to relax and take in the magnificence and the honest of your students. So don't make it stressful for you. Have your sixth graders come in on that, what is that, Thursday?
Mhm.
Have the parents come in on that Friday. you're good to go and have your Colonial Day in January. I think it's just fine.
Sounds good.
Great questions. So let's dive into something called our lunch wall, which I'm kind of excited about. And this is to get you started on what do I need to have ready before November 18th, which is next week. And it's not a lot. You honestly have the majority of it completed. That's why I was giving you certain homework assignments, or not really homework, but skill work assignments, because I was helping you through that process so you wouldn't be completely stressed out the night before.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than being stressed out the night before your kids have a huge project to start. So I'm going to show you what the lunch will look like, or can look like. And I'm sharing my screen now.
Okay.
But I do want you to know that you're doing an amazing job. I say that, and I don't say it just because I have to. I say it because it's true.
Thank
So
you.
I always remember that you're doing really awesome. Not just as a second year teacher, but as a teacher as a whole. So we have your entry event already completed, so we're not worrying about that. But let's
Mhm.
look at the first day. So, and I can screenshot this and send it to you.
Mhm.
Actually, let me do that. Let me do that right now so you'll have it. So, your first day, we have an entry event, which you already know what that looks like.
Yeah.
You have your driving question. You have your final products, which is part of your entry event.
Mhm.
You know what you want it to look like. Now, the need to know list is kind of like your KNW.
Okay.
And that is something that your students already know how to do. And you can walk them through that. And that's also, remember we talked about jigsaw last week
Yeah.
with the little book. So if you want them to start jigsawing a little bit before your KNW, maybe the day before or something, like on that Monday. What's the 18th is Monday? Maybe Friday or whenever. Then by the time Monday comes, or even 5 minutes before you introduce the event, that
Mhm.
would get your KNW started.
Okay.
Um, I know you say you're creating the teams. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, so you're gonna go over that with them. Go over your expectations for teamwork because it is a part of the rubric.
Mhm.
And then you can let them meet to have a quick chat if you would like to. So the first day is not really that stressful, as you can see. It's just a lot of you in the beginning, so you can, because you're setting the tone. But
Mhm.
after that, it's all them.
Seems
Any?
easy.
I'm sorry.
That seems easy enough.
Yeah, it seems that way. I know. It's gonna be okay. I promise you. And then the project wall. If you have an area in your room to have one, that would be great. That's just to remind them of the driving question.
Mhm.
You'll keep it the KNW right there. So K of course is no. The N is what do you? Oh, what do you? It's K. Hold on, not KNW. Why am I keep saying that? KWL. I'm so sorry.
Wait, I don't
K
know what you're referring to.
KWL. Thank you. Okay. There is a chart. We'll talk about that later. But there's a chart that has an addition to KWL. But so the K, the W, L. What do you already know? What do you want to know? And so with the W, that's when you can talk about any questions that they have. So think about the inquiry spiral that we already talked about before.
Yeah.
If there are any words that continuously pop up, so with colonies, they may start talking about pilgrims or Mayflower Compact or um, abolitionists. They may not pop up.
Mhm.
And whatever else that may pop up. So any of those words and concepts, you can just continuously add it to the project wall. It's
Okay.
like an ongoing, living, breathing wall.
Yeah.
You have your calendar up there, your rubric up there, and you're done.
Okay.
So it's really simple. You already have these things completed. You already know what a KWL looks like.
Mhm.
The only thing that's not completed is your word list or word wall,
Yeah.
and that can be continuously added.
Okay.
So as I stated, like you really have the majority of this done. The
Mhm.
only thing we do not have completed on the project documents is the checklist of requirements, which is going to come from your rubric.
Okay.
And we have not done your survey yet.
Yeah.
Your survey and then your assessments. And that's like the only pieces that and your assessments is going to come of course from your rubric. Well, that is your rubric. The assessment piece, but the quiz that you wanted to have. We don't have your quiz or your summative. Those are the only two.
Yeah.
So literally, that's why I said you pretty much have everything completed and you don't realize it. Well done.
Hey.
Kudos to you. The resource list is what we're continuously working on, and that's what we're going to get to now. Are
Okay.
there any questions on this part of the screen?
Um, say team roster. Is that kind of like just the team mates? Like
Yes,
team?
it's just your the project teams that's being formed. And you have a small class, so they'll know, they'll remember that I'm on, there's only 3 people per team, right? Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And will there be one group of 4?
No, because I only have 12.
Oh, I don't know why I thought you had 10. Okay, so 12 kids. Perfect. So they'll remember who's going with in which team. So
Yeah.
no worries on that. Any other questions?
More of a concern.
I'm
I
listening.
have one student that's actually going to be away starting next Wednesday until Friday because she's having an early Thanksgiving break. So just in terms of, the fact that it's a team effort. So sending like, she's pretty good. Her mom and her have already asked me like, my mom wants me to like take work home, and she's a pretty motivated student. She doesn't need me to motivate her. She's always wanting to learn more in social studies. She just eats it all up. Just in terms of, I guess, workload, I obviously don't want her doing all the work by herself on vacation. But just kind of like your thoughts on this.
Your lunch calendar. Do you you have it in front of you?
No, I'll take it out.
So she's leaving on the 20th of November. So she'll miss those 3 days, and then she'll be like on the same page as the rest of the students after that.
Yeah.
So what is your Wednesday, Thursday, Friday looks like on your lunch calendar?
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I have work time, and then the group progress check-in.
So you only have 2 days of work time, and are you giving them 45 minutes each?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then over Thanksgiving break, are you assigning anything?
No.
Okay. So for her, you can just ask her. I would either ask her to work on some of her graphic organizer.
Okay.
And if you want to be specific, because it sounds like she's like a little overachiever.
Yeah.
I was one of those students. So if you told me to work on my graphic organizer when I came back, they would have been completed. So
Yeah.
you can pinpoint, maybe work on, you know what? If you know who you are planning
Yeah.
the team with her, that didn't make any sense.
I get what.
Whomever her teammates are,
Yeah.
if you know their weaknesses, maybe they may not be great at looking at people or looking up locations or something like that.
Yeah.
You can ask her or just put an asterisk on the graphic or part of the graphic organizer that you want her to actually work on.
Okay.
So if Sam is great at maps, then okay, that's something Sam will take care of. And Lisa may be great at random facts, but
Yeah.
they're both are not great at detailed people. Then assign the student the people portion.
Okay.
So you're kind of setting the team up for success.
Yeah.
That would be my recommendation. I wouldn't just give it to her because if she's an overachiever, it's going to be completed when she comes back.
Yeah.
So just what column or something, or 1 or 2 columns. Actually, one may be more accurate. Or 1 and 2 is up to you. Um, and just go from there. I don't want you to not give her anything because I know the students are going to say why she's not working, and then you can say actually she is working. She's just not working with us right now.
Mm-hmm.
Great question. Any other questions regarding that wall?
No, but one more mini concern.
No,
Not a
I'm
concern.
okay. No, go
Just
ahead.
field trips. My goal was to have scheduled one for last week. It didn't work out. So I had to schedule one for December 10th, which is on, hold on, give me 1 second.
I'm going to look at my calendar too.
Um, well, that's pretty much the date that their graphic organizers and their research is due. So they, in retrospect, they would have already done all the work. I'm just kind of collecting it. Might have given them like maybe 20 minutes to finish up any last minute research and school regardless.
Mm-hmm.
So with this in mind, I'd probably maybe assign just a little piece for homework, and just to make up the fact that they're not going to be in the classroom for those 20 minutes on the 10th.
Let's play that by ear.
Okay.
Because you may not have to sign anything for homework regarding this, because they may actually have it completed.
Okay.
They may, honestly, I think they're going to surprise you.
Okay.
I think because it's something different and they have autonomy over it. Once they get over the fear, if they have any fears, that they have the autonomy over this project and it's theirs, not Miss Patty's, but it's my project. I really feel like that graphic organizer may be completed by December 9th. And you can tell them, December 9th is the hard deadline. Not December 9th, December 10th, that morning when you walk in, the graphic organizer has to be completed.
Yep.
Tell them that, like, before you, like, when you walk in, I'm collecting it. And that way in their heads, they don't think they have the date on, like, the day to complete it.
Yeah.
So tell them that ahead of time when you have the calendar up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that may surprise you.
Okay.
And when December, 5th gets here, or 6th gets here, and you realize that, okay, maybe Sam has a couple of, spaces, then we can talk, that we can chit chat about that then. But I think they will surprise you. I think they're going to surprise you. I'm excited, honestly.
However, on the good side is the fact that we're actually going to visit a colonial Pennsylvania plantation. So it's still needed, and I depends what colony they end up picking. But it'll still kind of make that connection where, okay, like I'm learning about the jobs that the women had. Oh, these women had to like churn their own butter and stuff like this, because it is very hands-on. So they'll be doing some of like maybe some like mini farm work or just things that actually relate to the colonies.
And that's going to be awesome for your KWL chart, actually. That's really going to be awesome. So there's a piece I want you to look at, but I'll assign it to you later. So let's talk about your resources. Let me get us a time check to make sure I have enough time to answer all your other questions and your fears. Okay. I sent you a few resources. Is that enough? Now, I do know the last set that I sent you that I mentioned that you do not have to look at it right now, the one I sent you today.
Yeah.
Those came from an actual elementary teacher.
Okay.
Who's phenomenal. And I think you should be able to get into the links now, because she just emailed and said that they're open.
Okay.
So the links are open. There's something for the southern colonies, the middle colonies, New England colonies. There's a whole colonial unit for you to look at. And there's a Road to Revolution on there as well. So you can look at that if you would like, and I'm going to look at it as well. And if you have any questions regarding that, feel free to send me an email. I know you're really good at that, so that's perfect. And we can go from there. But do you need any more resources, or is that enough?
I should be okay. I did see you sent one that had like I think maybe 200 something pages that I can actually pick and choose from. I could be exaggerating again.
No, that could be true. Is that the one from today?
No. It's one online. It's for learning. What's the website? I clicked on like I think I just had to sign up for the free.
Oh, I know what you're. Okay, yeah.
And then I downloaded it and I saw it on there. That had a bunch of information about the Jamestown and a bunch of other settlements and colonies. So I think that's great. I did take a look. I didn't purchase it yet because I didn't have my credit card on me. But the TPT, there was one that you sent me that I found useful based on like the preview that it gave me. And then another one that I've just kind of stumbled upon, which actually does mention that it includes information about the geography, political, and people, which would be great. Once again, I just have to purchase both of them. and then take a look at exactly kind of like the meat of the information that they have. But based on what I saw in the previews, they do look comprehensive. And the librarian also brought me some books that the kids can look
Yay!
at.
Perfect. It's all coming together. See, no stress. It will all come together. That's my philosophy on life. It will always come together, even if at the last minute. So, no worries. Before you buy the TPT,
Yeah.
look at the colonial unit that was sent from the teacher, because if it already has that information, then you don't have to spend your money.
Okay.
Because I think she has some passages for each one, and that could be honestly a easy print out, put it into a sheet protector, and have that as a center for them to, as their fill out their graphic organizer.
Okay.
So you can make it as simple and as creative as you would like to for their work time, especially because you don't have social studies books and you do not have you have limited access to the internet. So a lot of things could just be, again, a quick print, put it in a sheet protector, so they can just take it out like, oh, cool. And then they have their graphic organizer, right? Put it back and then move on to wherever else the net center is.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be elaborate. Again, these are students. This is a project. It's their work time. Make it easy for you.
Okay.
Not hard for you. So questions and fears. Tell me, do you have any questions related to the project that's coming up? You told me your concerns. Are there any fears that you may have?
Let's see, fears. I feel like once I show them the video, the motivation will be there, which is typically one of my fears, the fact that they might not want to do something. But lately, we've been reading about the Plymouth colony because it's not necessarily one of the original 13. I just wanted them to kind of gain exposure before we actually did the PBL. And a lot of them were interested, the fact that the women had to churn butter and the kids didn't always get to go to school. So that did captivate them. And I feel like the fact that they get to, throughout the process, gather information so they can create an infomercial, which is something that, they might have already seen before, like just naturally watching TV. The fact that they kind of get to incorporate that and create their own and be able to kind of, use their own creativity will really help with motivation and just inspiration and hopefully just a want to learn. I think just in terms of time, I mean, some of them do take, a lot of time sometimes to just get one thing done. So I think that's kind of like a fear if I'm going to have to constantly like be after them, like reminding them to get some work done. Give me 1 second. Yes, Burke. Okay. Quickly grab it, okay? See you tomorrow. Bye.
The beauty of teaching.
Yeah, I had one come in earlier too. Yeah, so it's pretty much kind of like, assisting them to meet that deadline. I think that's kind of like a fear where they're either going to take too long or not get done when I need them to get done in the time that I give them.
I would say the best thing about your fear is if you look at your calendar, you've put in so many check-in points that you're automatically observing them without them knowing it.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to see if you need to, do a little bit. Okay, guys, we have this much time. Let's put some fire under it, or in a nicer way, of course. So I think that your kids will surprise you, and they will be fine because it's theirs. And some of them may take a little longer, but they may take a little longer because they're reading and they're excited about what they're reading. So you'll be able to observe. And since you have like a midpoint check-in anyways, you're able to see, okay, this group has a long way to go. I need to, talk to them or conference with them a little bit to see what's going on. Yeah. So just take it day by day. That fear you kind of tackled already in your calendar.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. You included some good check-in points, and you'll be constantly conferencing. If you remember that project wall that had like all of the PBL, that had everything in the center, that conferencing and work time and quizzes, everything was like in the center. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So it's just like that. You'll be like considering, like, conferencing will be going on throughout the entire project.
Hmm.
So you'll be able to monitor it yourself
Yeah.
without them knowing, which is great. So no worries on that. You'll be able to monitor.
Okay.
So it'll be fine. And as far as the urgency piece, because it's theirs and it's something that they get to work on, something they can show their parents, and
Hmm.
they will be able to show the big kids, um, the urgency will be there. And
Okay.
if it's not, it could continuously build, or we can work on that in a next session. If you say, Natasha, these kids are not motivated, and then we can work through that during that time.
Okay.
So it'll be okay. So let's look at our next steps. What do you think your next steps needs to be for our next call? Because by our next call, it would they were already started,
Yeah.
which is amazing. So I'm looking forward to. I think we meet on Tuesday. I'm so looking forward to like, all right, how did it go?
Hmm.
So we don't have your survey, the checklist, and the quiz completed,
Hmm.
or the project wall if you would like to have a project wall. So what do you think your next step should be?
Um, let's see, survey definitely, because I feel like that's kind of like the beginning piece where they're, you know, kind of, they're inquiring themselves, but also kind of gathering information based on the responses they're receiving from other people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll probably, well, actually, I was going to say I'll probably send surveys out tomorrow. That means I have to make them today. um, let's see. I feel like surveys would be okay to send Monday, because that
Mm-hmm.
way I can kind of start creating them today. Can send it to you, have you like look over it, just give me some feedback, and then that way I have it printed and send it out on Monday. Have it be due. Well, have it either be due the following day or maybe 2 days later.
Okay,
That's
sounds good.
great, but it's because again they're not going to gather a whole bunch of information from the survey. It's just kind of like little key points that they might consider when they're creating their infomercials and when they're gathering information too for their colonies.
Sounds good. So with the survey, anything else?
So survey, project wall, putting it together, but also the checklist. I feel like with the quiz, it's not as immediate as the other ones because again, like they have to gather information before I can even give them a quiz. Um,
That's true. But you could already have so while they're gathering that information, we can talk about this later. We You can already be creating the quiz because the quiz and the assessment can already be planned out
mhm.
because it's based on the information. It's not based on them. It's
Yeah.
based on the information that you need for them to already know by the time the quiz or the assessment comes. But it's not immediate, as you said right now. If we had more time, we would do some backwards planning where we'll do the assessment and the quiz, but don't
Mhm.
worry about that. You're doing great. So the
Mhm.
survey, the checklist, and the project wall. I think that would be awesome because the survey you pretty much already have the checklist completed. It's
Mhm.
right where the rubric is.
Yeah.
So that should be pretty simple for you. And when it comes to the information, so when you present this to them,
Mhm.
how would they know what they need to complete?
What do you mean?
So when you presenting this project to them, like you inviting them to join you on this journey of creating this infomercial,
Mhm.
how would they know what to complete? Like, would there be another sheet of paper that tells them, this is what you need to have completed? The graphic organizer, the blah, 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 the people, the
Oh, so kind of like
info,
like
yeah,
they
infomercial, 2 to 3 minutes. Like, how do they know this information? It's just, are you creating I forgot what it's called, a document? Like
oh,
your infomercial project PBO document or something?
gotcha. In my head, I think I was kind of gonna since I'm gonna be showing them the calendar, I was gonna kind of refer back to that way kind of guideline. But I do think it might be better to actually have specific dates listed where okay, this is when you should have this due by, this should be due by this, and you should get started on putting your infomercial together on this date. That way they do have more of like a, I guess, visual of when they should have certain things done by.
Well, you have the calendar. So if you don't have time to do that, that's fine. But it should also have something. You should have at least something for them to know what they're doing. Like,
Okay.
what am I actually doing?
Yeah.
If you said creating infomercial, how am I going to create it? Does it have to be, how long is it? Like those little components are pieces that should be on any like any kind of project I'm giving a student. So if you say it's a 3 to 5 minutes, then they need to know the infomercial is 3 to 5 minutes. These are the things they need to include. Blah 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 blah. It's also on the rubric, so you can also just give them the rubric and talk about it from there. I'm just giving you ideas of how to present it so that they have exactly what they need to do.
Yeah. So I think like since I'll be creating a checklist for myself to make sure they're on track, perhaps I could also have like a modified version of the checklist where they can actually physically check it themselves to
That
make
will
sure
be cool.
the different categories. And okay, now I'm creating my infomercial. It has to be 2 to 5 minutes long. Okay, I created it. It's 5 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever it may be.
That'll be cute.
Okay.
It's up to you. Again, do not stress yourself out. Do not work harder.
Yeah.
So if you have the time, then you can do that. But the majority of that is already completed. You're just taking information from what you already created and putting on a different document. So that's perfect. From me to you, from you to me. From you to me. Is there anything else that you need from me to better support you?
Um, I I do want. I don't know if you know any. I mean, I did mention iMovie, and it is something that I'm working with the what's it called? The technology teacher. But is there any kind of like mediums that you recommend that are kind of student friendly? Because sometimes maybe she might not be aware of them. She's a technology teacher, but you never know. Because I remember using Shadow Puppet, which it was pretty easy to use on my phone. There's actually voice layover. You can clip things together. But I guess besides those two mediums, like if there's an app that's free or a different kind of kid-friendly application that they're able to use to create the infomercials.
Great question. I'm going to come back to you in our follow-up, and I'll give you some resources there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also in the follow-up. You will see a modified KWL chart,
Okay.
and it has like an H and another letter that stands for pretty much how are you going to find out this information. Yeah. And I think it'll be really cute. You don't have to use it for this project, but because you love KWL chart so much from our prior conversations, I wanted to give you that option as well to enhance it a little bit. So that will be in your follow-up, and you will have a new technology piece in a follow-up.
Okay.
It's called Flipgrid. Do you know about Flipgrid?
I think I might have maybe heard it somewhere.
So I'm going to just send you a quick overview, and I think you'll love it because you love technology so much. Yeah. When I first learned it, I just learned about it yesterday. So when I first learned about it, I thought of you, and I was like, oh, she may absolutely love this. Yeah. So that would just be just a cute couple of just short snippets for our follow-up, but I would definitely have an answer for you dealing with mediums and kid-friendly. Okay. So let me think about that for a little bit, and I will definitely have an answer for you.
Yeah, because I did that from the previous one that you sent me before. It's kind of like Kahoot quizzes, and the kids love it, and it's easier for me to have them work on too. So
see, even better. We're making progress. Technology rules sometimes. Yeah. So I want you to close your eyes really quickly.
Okay.
I want you to take a deep breath in. Exhale it out. Give yourself a pat on the back. Send yourself all the love that you need to send yourself because you're doing an awesome job. So while we're ending, how are you feeling right now? Let's do another precipitation. I love precipitation. So how are you feeling?
I think it's more of a rain, but not your kind of rain. It's more like my kind of rain where it's still, some doubt, some kind of, worrying, but it's kind of calm right now. Not as intense.
It's not a steady hail.
There's gonna be rainbow at the end of this rain eventually.
Oh, I love it. Rainbow at the end of the rain. I love it. Okay, perfect. So, Patty, I enjoy our time together. You are an amazing teacher, and you're progressing steadily, which is awesome. So, I can't wait to hear about the beginning of your project next week. Mm-hmm. And at any time in the meantime, if you have any questions or concerns, just send me a quick email, and we can talk from there.
Sounds good.
But good luck for Monday, and I will see you next week.
Thank you, Natasha.
You're very welcome, Patty. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.